Just reading through some comments here. So one thing I did want to address too before I get going here, I know a couple people have asked, we get that question a lot every time we do this, and get a lot of messages on Facebook about the Lordstown arbitration, and just want you all to know and assure you, our legal team's working very hard on that. It's unfortunate, and this is what we're bargaining for. It's unfortunate that GM, again, is not honoring a commitment they made to the members in 2019 bargaining, and they're choosing to drag this through an appeal process through the courts rather than do the right thing and take care of our members. But we're not going to let it go. We're going to do everything we can to get that resolved. It's a shame it's went on this long. It's inexcusable. So we got a lot of work to do in that area. But that's what we bargained. That's why we bargained, and that's why we got to lock things down now. All right, it's 5 after, so we'll get rolling here. So just want to start, UAW Family, just saying as always, just want to start off by acknowledging our members who are out on strike, fighting for all of us. UAW Family and Local 2326 in Dayton, New Jersey remain on strike against West Rock. It's been 3 months that these members have been holding the line, and they're showing all of us, how to stand strong when the boss is on the attack. Local 997 is now in the 4th week of their strike against Thombert in Newton, Iowa. Our union siblings there are fighting back against a company that wants to work them to the bone. They're fighting to keep their vacations from being rolled back and for the right to recover if they're sick or injured on the job. It's pathetic that we have to fight for those things. It should be a given. So this is just another, in a long line of fights that we're having in our union to maintain the basic quality of life, ounce of respect. So to our members out there on strike at West Rock and Thombert, I want to say that you inspire all of us and stand strong, and we're going to stand with you. I also want to take a moment to congratulate the UAW bargaining team and the members at Altium themselves in Lordstown, Ohio. Our union family at Altium unionized just back in December to try to combat the dangerous working conditions and the poverty wages they're being paid. So, we just scored a breakthrough agreement over there to immediately raise their wages by 25%. And that's as much as $3 to $4 an hour. So many of them are also going to receive thousands of dollars in back pay over that time frame. And I want to say, this is an interim deal, which means it goes into effect immediately while the workers at Altium continue to bargain for further wage increases as part of a complete first contract with the company. So Altium workers are voting on whether to ratify the interim deal this weekend. This interim wage agreement, it's a much needed lifeline to the workers because they're barely scraping by. But I want to be clear about one thing. It's still far, far short of what these workers deserve for the level of skill that their labor requires. The working conditions that they have to endure and the incredible value that they produce for this heavily taxpayer subsidized employer. So to Altium and General Motors, I have a simple message. This wage increase is just a start. These battery workers deserve the same wage and salary standards that generations of auto workers have fought for, and we're going to settle for nothing less. So UAW family, you might be able to tell today that I'm coming to you from somewhere a little different than my normal environment. So I'm outside of Detroit right now. I'm actually here this morning at the Union Hall of UAW Local 862 in Louisville, Kentucky. And yesterday I had the honor of joining hundreds of our union family who work at Ford's Kentucky truck plant for a practice picket. And today I'm going to be able to walk the line again with our union family who work at Ford's Louisville assembly plant. So earlier this week, I was also able to participate in a rally and a practice picket organized by Local 51 at Stellantis' Mack assembly plant. And I also spoke on Sunday at a massive solidarity rally at Region 1, which was a great day. The rallies we've recently held, Local 51, Mack, and yesterday at Kentucky Truck Plant, and today at Louisville Assembly Plant. And then also the rally we had, the massive rally on Sunday at Region 1. Really proud of the turnout there. Thank everyone for the turnout. So, and that rally at Region 1 Sunday, it was the first regional rally in decades that our union has organized as part of a contract campaign against the Big Three. And these are just a few of the many dozens of actions being organized by locals across the country in the lead up to our contract's expiration. So the cool thing I find in all this is that there are so many locals and members organizing actions that we're not even keeping count of them anymore. I find that incredible, and it's, as I said earlier, it's exactly what I hoped would happen when I was sworn in 5 months ago and announced we'd be launching the biggest contract campaign our union's seen in decades. And when I made that announcement, it was met with a lot of skepticism in some quarters. But I knew then what we're seeing now, that all of us are fed up with the Big Three's race to the bottom. We're fed up with seeing Big Three profits break the bank while we're breaking our backs. We're fed up with Big Three CEOs getting double-digit pay increases while our pay continues to go backwards. We're fed up with plant closures, tears, and corporate greed. Recently, one of the Big Three executives dismissed our bargaining demands by saying that we need to focus on reality and that we need to work together. So let's talk about reality. The reality is that the Big Three made a combined $21 billion in profits in just the first 6 months of this year. That's on top of the $250 billion in North American profits they made over the last decade. The reality is the Big Three have closed or spun off 65 plants over the last 20 years. So try telling workers at Belvedere Assembly, Lordstown Assembly, GM's Powertrain in Warren, Ford's Romeo Engine Plant, Trenton Engine Plant, Marysville Axle, Mount Elliott Tool and Die, Toledo Machining Plant. Tell them all how working together has worked out for them. Try telling our retirees who haven't seen an increase by 1 cent over the last 17 years while inflation has skyrocketed how well working together has worked for them. Our retirees have went backwards. Tell all the temps that are living paycheck to paycheck, scraping to get by, while they're working 7 days a week for 12 hours a day in some places, with no commitment to their future, how working together works for them. Better yet, ask Sarah Chambers, a single mother who started at Ford as a temporary worker and had to work for 16 years before reaching top pay. Tell her what it's like to work together with management. Right now, a majority of the Big Three employees are second-class workers with no pensions and no post-retirement health care. So how's that working together? Are we working together when our wages have regressed over the last 10 years? Inflation's been hammering us. We see it in the price of bread, in the cost of milk. And here's a simple truth that every real unionist knows in the depths of their soul. We're working together, and when we're working together with management, it doesn't work. That's why contract talks are called collective bargaining, not working together. We've sat by for decades while these companies continue to just take and take from us. They took our union's hard-won pensions, they took our retiree health care, they've taken our wages, they take our mental and physical health. I just talked to someone this morning who's talking about his daughter working in a plant and has had carpal tunnel on both hands. So, this is our time to take back what we're owed. Working together with the companies doesn't work for us, but standing together with your union family is what works. Working with your international union staff, we launched this contract campaign because I knew that if you were given the opportunity to stand together and fight for a better life, that you wouldn't back down. This is our generation's defining moment. It's up to all of us to seize it. We've just collectively taken one of the most important steps. As you know, UAW family, this week you voted nearly unanimously to authorize our union to call a strike if we need to. 97% of you said you're ready to stand up and walk out if the Big Three refuses to reach a fair agreement with us. 97% of you said you'll do what it takes to end tears. A divided union's not going to survive. We can't have second-class workers at the Big Three. 97% of you said you're ready to fight for more paid time off with your family. I've been talking a lot, about a 32-hour work week, 40-hour work week for 32 hours that we work, 40 hours pay. And it's been wild to watch the talking heads on television that continue to have a meltdown over this discussion. Right now, Stellantis has put its plants on critical status, forcing our members to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day in many cases, week after week for 90 straight days. That's not a life. Critical status, it's named right because working that much can put anyone in critical condition. It's terrible for our bodies, it's terrible for our mental health, and it's terrible for our family life. We miss critical moments in the lives of our children, critical moments like Little League games and birthday parties. We are one of the most overworked countries in the world. You look at the average number of hours spent working over a year. The average worker in Japan gets a month more free time than the average worker in the United States. Workers in France have 2 months more than free time than we have. And top it all off, workers in Germany have 3 months more free time than workers in the United States have. So just imagine how much your life would improve if you received the same pay and benefits you have now, but you work 12 weeks less to earn it. Right here in our own country, the talking heads have lost their shit every time I talk about the 32-hour work week. But you know what? They and their coworkers were working from home all throughout the pandemic. And I recently read an interesting study by Deloitte that said most workers in the financial industry are either working from home or coming into the office only a couple days a week. And this study found that 66% of those workers would quit their job if their employers made them come to work at the office 5 days a week. And you wonder why that is. Because they found out during that time that all that extra time at home improved their relationships with their children by 70-some%. It improved their relationships with their spouses and partners over 60-some%. With every relationship category in their life, because they were able to work home more and spend more time at home with family and friends, every relationship category they looked at, it improved over 50%. So it turns out people are happier when they spend less time at work, not more. And you know what? I've heard many of these people, the pundits, want to say, yeah, well, these people have an education. Well, UAW family, you know what I say when they say that to me? I call bullshit. Many of our members not only have college educations, but during the pandemic, we were deemed essential. Our members risked their health and safety to keep the lines running during COVID. Some of our members even gave their lives. So now we continue to risk our health and safety, our mental health, our relationships, and all that by being overworked and underpaid. So here's my question to all of you. Isn't our time just as valuable as the time of the white-collar workers? Aren't our families just as important as the families of company executives? Isn't our own health just as valuable as that of the talking heads on television? UAW family, our demands and our fight are about more than just us. They're about the double standards in our society. Company executives get to work remotely, while the working class is forced to risk our health at work. They can live a life of luxury at their second multi-million-dollar mansion in Acapulco, while the rest of us are scraping to get by at jobs that don't provide a pension. Company executives make hundreds of times what the average worker makes. Some of them 400 times what our average worker makes. Then they have the audacity to tell us that people who work for a living, that we just have to accept the scraps they want to give us, that we should just be happy we have a job. Our employers only value one thing: profit. They do not value us, and the only way the working class advances is if we stand together. The only way we're ever going to have an economy that works for the benefit of the many and not the few is if we're willing to fight for it. The only way we're ever going to have a better quality of life for ourselves and our family is if we fight for it. It's not going to happen by the generosity of the bosses or the politicians, but because the working class organized and fought for it. Employers don't give higher wages or better benefits out of the kindness of their hearts. They give it because the union bargains for it and we make them. And that's exactly what 97% of you said you're ready to do. I've told each of the big three to come to the table next week with their counter proposals to our demands, and I'll definitely keep all of you updated on bargaining. Right now, things are still going slow. But what your negotiating teams need from all of you, what we need from all of you, is to keep organizing actions, keep applying pressure, and keep sharing your personal stories with the media. Keep reaching out to community groups and talking about our fight. This is our generation's defining moment, and this isn't just our fight, it's the working class's fight. What we demand for ourselves, we desire for everyone else. Our cause is righteous, and the facts are on our side. So the question is, how much will we have to fight to win a fair contract? Before I end today, I want to take a minute and warn all of you about how the bosses might react to our strike vote and the looming deadlines. Anyone who's ever organized in their workplace knows that when workers take action, we can expect the bosses to fight back. Often they try to scare us or confuse us, discourage us, and divide us. And they might claim that our strike would wreck the economy. They're going to claim that the public's going to turn against us. They might claim that our strike would wreck our employers and that they'll ship our jobs to other countries, or we'll lose market share to non-union rivals. It's all about fear. And they're already saying our demands are unrealistic and that we're being reckless. When you see people making these arguments on the news, stop and ask yourself, do you think the big media companies want the working class to strike for big ambitious demands? Just ask our union family on strike at the Writers Guild and Screen Actors Guild what they think. Do you think employers across the country want to see our union create the threat of a good example for other workers? The truth is, they want us to believe we are powerless. And if they can't have that, then they want us to be afraid to use our power as workers. They want us to be scared to take risk. They want us to be afraid to be bold, and they want to weaken us by pitting us against each other. That's the entire reason why tiers exist now. UAW family, we know better than this. 97% of you voted to authorize a strike because you know that we do have the power, that we are united, and we're not afraid. And we're going to win. So, my final thing to say in this message is the Big Three's race to the bottom ends on September 14th. I'm going to look through some comments here. I apologize. I know we had some technical difficulties here, but let me glance through here and see what you say. Yes, I did say 97% voted to strike in the event we have to. Sorry, just trying to glance through here. I see a question about extensions. Let me assure you, the deadline is September 14th. We have a lot of options that we're looking at, but extensions on the contract is not one of them. Says keep Biden out of your contract. And let me assure, Biden's not in our contract, but we do expect our government, when they're giving all this tax money, all our tax dollars to these companies, and they form joint ventures to circumvent their obligation to us and to our standards, that something needs to change there. Labor cannot be left out of the equation. Labor has to have a seat at the table. The workers can't be left behind, and that's what's happened in this transition so far. And it's up to the Biden administration and our people in Congress to fix those things when it comes to our tax dollars going to those companies with no conditions. Just glancing through here. Need 30 and out for these new hires to retire? You bet, 100%. Everyone should have dignity. Everyone should have, as Walter Reuther said, our workers get what happens when we are too old to work and too young to die, and that's why pensions are important. Glancing through here. Yeah, I see people asking, what have they offered so far, Stellantis, anything, and other companies. We're still, in the bargaining process. I know the bargaining committee's been working really hard, getting through a lot of the non-economics. We've been talking some economics. We're getting ready to, get more in depth than that this week with the big three companies. I see questions on here about strike pay and benefits and all that type of stuff. And let me assure you, Secretary Treasurer Mock and the team over there are working, all the scenarios. I know they had a strike conference a week ago with all the leadership from the locals to go through, the steps we'll be taking in the event we have to strike. So, we have to lean on each other here, and we have to trust each other, and how all the different scenarios will work out, how people will be paid. That will all be communicated in the event we have to strike. At that time, it'll be rolled out at your locals. So just stay tuned and keep in constant contact and communication with your local leaderships. And we'll have people down there also between the strike department and our national departments. So we're in this together, and when it comes to those issues, we'll address them together. Just glancing through here, see comments about trickle-down economics. We all know what trickle-down economics does. It never trickles down. See someone say Stellantis seems to be the worst to bargain with. Is that true? Well, right now they're all the worst to bargain with because none of the three have come to the pump yet for the membership. So until any of them want to get serious, they're all in the same barrel as far as I'm concerned. So, and that's on them. We are, I believe we're 20 days away now from the deadline. So a lot's got to happen in 20 days, and we can get there. Just so everyone knows, it is possible for us to get where we need to be. But these companies got to buckle down and get serious about your demands and about you getting your share of equity. So we'll see. We got a lot to take care of in 20 days. And I'll tell you all, just so you know, I mean, we're doing things very different than we ever have before. But we're not any further behind than we've ever been in typical negotiations. Typically, these companies try to drag things out. We've warned them and warned them and warned them from the onset that will not work. And if that's their tactic, they're going to be real disappointed come September 14th. So, we're going to stick to our guns. We've been nothing but honest and transparent with the companies. And we have expectations. They're your expectations, and we intend to deliver on them. So, so we'll see where we end up. But we can get there. I see comments about don't forget about Belvedere and other places. And that's, job security is a major issue. And we don't forget. I know Vice President Boyer and the team there are working very hard for Belvedere and other areas. So as are the other vice presidents for plants that need product. I mean, we're talking one here today. Louisville Assembly. I mean, their future. We want to get product there and longer-term viability for Louisville Assembly. So it's naturally it's a part of all the big three tables. And again, it goes back to job security. Our members have delivered for these companies over and over, and our members deserve job security as a reward for that. So we deserve future product at our plants. So that's the fight we're all in this for, and that's why 97% of you said you're willing to strike if we have to secure those things. I see a question again about will there be a target company, and we're not picking a target. We expect all three to bargain with us, and all three to be done by September 14th. Things could always shift in bargaining. If something miraculous happened with one of the companies, it could change. But the way our stance right now is, and has been all along, we want contracts by September 14th with all three. So if the other two companies or two companies choose to wait on somebody else, they're going to be real disappointed come September 14th. I'm just glancing through comments. Sorry, give me a minute. And GMCH, I see your comment about being properly recognized 100%. No, it's got to stop. All these tiers, it's a tier. It's got to end. GMCH is a GM worker. And I see people asking about different strike scenarios and different things like that, and I really don't want to get into that. Only because, I don't want to put out publicly the different scenarios we've mapped out and plans we're making. So, I ask you, and I know it's hard. It's hard to just have faith in your union leadership because there's been so much mistrust in all these years. I expect that trust to be earned, just as we expect our endorsements to be earned with our politicians. I expect to earn your trust through our actions, and so I'm asking you to trust us as we map out this plan and as things progress. We've got to all be united and be together in this. We're all in this fight together. So any scenario we play out, we just ask people to have discipline. Listen to your local leaderships. The national departments will be communicating with your local leaders, and we'll map out steps we have to take in the event that we have to take action. And I want to be clear, Our goal is not to strike. I want to make that very clear. Our goal is to bargain good agreements for our members, but all we've tried to do in this is prepare everybody so in the event that we have to take action to get a fair and just contract for you, that we're prepared for it. So that's why we prepare for a strike. That's why we're doing the things we're doing, so that we're ready no matter what happens. So, but our goal is to get agreements done. So I want to make that very clear to everyone. Don't forget about the retirees, and that's a given, brother. Every day that I see that, every day I go to work, we think of our retirees. I carry my grandpa's check stub, and always have, and that's a reminder of where we come from. Retirees are why we all sitting here right now, and you deserve better. All right, now I'm going to jump off here now. I just really want to give an update just to touch base and interact. And I apologize for the technical problems here. We're trying to communicate as much as we can, and we wanted to definitely get a message out today just about particularly about the strike vote, since we've just put the results of that out there, and wanted to make sure you guys understood and knew where we were. And it's great to see the energy from the members all over the country. These rallies have been great. A lot of people showing up. Everybody's excited. Everybody's ready to do what we have to do. And I know that's why that is because we're all fed up. We're fed up with going backwards in the best economic times in the history of these companies. And it's time to change that. And we're going to do whatever we have to do. So with that, I appreciate everybody's getting on today. I know it's a different time frame, but we're trying to do these at different times of the day to give different people a chance to get on and watch. And but look forward to further communication in the future, and we're going to keep updating you as things progress. So let's just keep the faith, and let's stay in the fight, and we're going to get a good agreement for everybody. So thank you for getting on, and we'll be talking more. Thanks.